Let me unmute myself. Good morning, good afternoon, good day, whatever time it is in your world. We're so glad you joined us on POS Uncensored. I'm Nate Manahan, and joining me on the right-hand side of the screen, the man, the myth, the legend, the man who lives in the future, cherishes the past, Mr. Matt Proctor. How are you, Matt Proctor? I created that on the fly. I don't even know what it means, but I created it.
I like that line. I'm doing well, my friend. Busy week, but plants are still alive, so I'm good.
Hey, when my herb garden, you're going to help me. I started a little tiered herb garden, so the only thing I keep alive in my back patio, and my cilantro keeps the heat outside. So I think I've read I need to bring it. Keeps turning to seed. It's driving me nuts because I've been told it doesn't like the heat. I should have brought it inside. Am I correct?
Normally cilantro's always inside.
Okay.
Mint is better outside. It goes nuts. But
I love my mint's been great. This is how to know your herbs with Nate and Matt, or how to sell herbs at your quick service restaurant, or better yet, how to sell a point of sale to a quick service restaurant, right, Matt? So
that's even better.
That is. So we're going to talk quick service restaurants, QSRs, not just, and that kind of can have several different type of concepts. So let's start there. Define how you define QSR.
All right, QSR is very, very simple, guys. Anywhere where I walk up and order, pay at a counter. Okay, I'm not going and sitting. So QSR, you might think, oh, they have tables here and people sit down. That still could be a QSR if I'm walking up and I'm placing my order right there at the counter. I'm paying right there. Then I'm going to sit down and they bring me my food. That's still a QSR. So this is no server walking around, taking on the order, and then them walking over and ringing it up on a floor plan. And so QSR is a huge, huge market throughout the country. We sell a lot of QSRs. We do a lot of franchises, multi-location, and they're really great opportunities. Sometimes they're small to medium-sized merchants when they're just getting their feet wet, but then you hope to have them grow with you, and you're right there when they open their second, third, fourth, 20th location. So there's a great market for QSRs. Their overhead's lower because they don't have the big full restaurant. They usually don't have any type of a bar. So it's really an easy, quick close, get the right software for them. And that's what we're going to talk about today. The right questions to ask, what these QSR owners are looking for compared to a full service restaurant.
So I'll ask this, take us in the back mind, if you can, of the owner of a QSR versus a full service. Why did they usually choose QSR? versus having a sit down and having servers? Is it a complexity? Is it the type of food they serve? Because I feel like that's the QSRs are becoming more and more. I mean, fast casual is like there's more of a higher end in the QSR than there used to be, and I think people are just choosing to go more QSRs. Am I right there? This is me hypothesizing. There's more QSRs than there are full service starting now.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And it's a whole different P&L for QSR compared to FSR. And I think the pandemic changed that a lot, Nate. I think over the last 3, 4 years, we've seen a lot more QSRs. A lot of places that were already teetering on both ways really went more with the QSR level. We see it in a lot of different ethnic restaurants, whether it's Indian, Asian, Mexican, you name it. A lot of them are switching to more of that QSR level where you're going to order right here, or now they have a QR code to scan to place your order, or they went in and invested in a kiosk because that makes it easier. So it's from a staffing perspective, it's much simpler. From a food cost perspective, it's usually much simpler because the menu's more limited on a QSR. A QSR does not have this big giant 5-page menu that a FSR might have. They can get by with a smaller kitchen, so overhead's lower, staff or whatever, the site space is lower, rent's lower. So the bottom line is they can make a little more money if they get enough foot traffic and people through the door because their ticket price is lower. Okay, so now you're going to a $10 to $20 ticket compared to it might have been 20 or 30 a person for a full sit down restaurant. But you eliminate so much of that overhead. And when you're looking at a franchise option and owning 5 to 7 in the next few years, having that lower overhead and everything is a great model. That's why we're seeing more and more of them pop up.
So, Matt, what are the first things that QSR managers and owners have to address when first putting in? Let's say they're starting new with their point of sale. What are the main things that point of sale should be doing, and that they expect for it to do for them?
Yep. Obviously, printed kitchen is imperative, especially when they're on a wait and they got a line out the door. They need to be able to just boom, 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 ring orders. It prints back to the kitchen, goes to a KDS screen, however they want it to look. And then one of the main questions we ask, Nate, and this is imperative to ask any QSR, is do you want the customers to sign on the screen? Some point of sale systems do that, some don't. We don't ever want to waste their time or waste our time looking at the wrong software because we have some that don't do that. And we have some that do that really well. And so if you walk in and they're using Clover, we'll find out right away. Are they flipping that screen around every time? Some people with Clover don't do that. Okay, they might just have a little Clover Mini, okay, but they still want them to sign right there. Okay, that's important for us to know. That means we need to look at one of our solutions that doesn't just have a customer display that shows the total, because we have those that are not interactive. We need an interactive customer display where they can sign, choose the tip percentage, and everything right there. So that's the number one thing. You always want to find out how they want to run their business. Okay. And believe me, I've been down both roads of knowing and not knowing, and it's a pain in the butt when we have a whole system in place and they do training and programming and they're up and processing, and then suddenly they say, well, we want to sign on the screen, and we don't have the right system in place, and we got to swap out and change out their whole point of sale system to a different solution if we would have just known that in advance. And now since then, that particular location has added 3 more stores, so they're doing great. Everyone likes hot dogs. But the customer display is a big thing. Kiosk is always something to ask about. A lot of small merchants don't want to pay for it. They're worried about, how much either counter space they have or the cost of it. But we do have that option. Our Quick POS does a kiosk extremely well. And they don't have to have that big stand for $4,000. Yeah, that looks great. That's what Taco Bell and McDonald's, all these larger, chains have. But if they just have counter space right there, they can have a countertop kiosk. People walk right up, boom, 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 they place their order. Okay, similar to like Shake Shack. Shake Shack has a big table with like 6 of them sitting on a table. That is less than half the cost of the big full hardware of a kiosk. So that's an option. I've talked to a lot of QSRs about the actual QR codes to scan with their phone. Okay, that's a great inexpensive option. Instead of paying all the money for a kiosk, put QR codes up everywhere. Make a big one right there. Anyone waiting in line, just bing, bing, bing. They got a kiosk on their phone and they're placing an order. All of our restaurant systems have the QR code capabilities. It prints right to the kitchen. You put your name in, and they're all ready for it. You can either pay on your phone or it'll be sent right there to the screen, and they can take your payment. So I know I kind of rattled off a few
No,
there,
that's
Nate.
good. Well,
Yeah,
and
those are the main ones.
let's talk about ordering management. And you said it has to print to a printer, but we're starting to see more and more that they want to go to the kitchen displays, the KDSs. We're seeing more and more systems having the KDSs. What is the like? Are you noticing a type of restaurant and a QSR that goes and wants that more kitchen display system versus the old printers? Or how do you know what they want and what they're willing to pay for, and even what they're going to use? It's when it comes to that order management.
I honestly, with all the owners that I talk to, and I know the majority of them that want KDS, they want it for the look. They want it for the look because they like it. They see the Burger King, and that's what they want it. We recommend printers no matter what, even if they do KDS, because most of them don't realize that KDS does not have any alert. There's no beep. There's no button that's or a sound system that's going to come through it. So if your guys are in the back prepping and they're not up front looking at that screen, 3 orders could come in that they never see. So usually they do a hybrid. They do a printer and they have the KDS. So they're still doing the bump bar and they're boom, boom through the screen, but it also prints where either someone at the expo or someone then can also have the physical ticket, but they can hear that. So if they're in the back washing their hands, doing something, boom, they hear that printer, they know that's ready. And then space. We have a lot of merchants that I've talked to that say, you know what, we'd like to do a KDS screen maybe in the future, but we don't really have wall space. We don't really have a spot to put it. Printer works great for now. So yeah, size is a big thing. But it's just the look. People like the look of it. Functionality is almost the same. Okay, we're talking about order management. That's a big deal at QSR. Is that when I ring in that cheeseburger combo with fries, Diet Coke, no onion, this, that, how's that going to come back to my printer? How's that going to come to my KDS? And our softwares do that really well, where they can manage how that layout is, which one's first, okay, as far as a priority. And thankfully, we could do that with either one, with the KDS or the print.
So since the close of the pandemic, we've seen an increasing amount of restaurants. We're seeing more restaurants started now than ever. And QSR is the larger portion of those restaurants. What are the things, if you get in front of a QSR restaurant, if you get the ideal place where they're just getting ready to start and they're choosing their first point of sale, what are the things you would sell on to be able to start engaging in that conversation for the new QSR? And then we'll go on to those that are existing and what to work with. But how about for those new starting QSR restaurants? That's redundant. Those QSRs. There you go.
Yes.
The
Well,
QSR restaurant. So.
Yep. Well, don't be afraid to plan for the future. I mean, you're there to protect them. You're there to protect their money and their time and their employees clocking in and out. I mean, that's what the software is for. Okay, to save them time and money and help increase their sales with speed. So plan on the future. Don't be afraid of that. Okay? You might like, for example, one of our systems that a lot of our agents have sold is great for QSR. It's an iPad system. It's everything about it's nice, but they don't have enterprise. Okay, so I would never suggest, okay, let's put this in here because it's easy. But whenever they want to open a second, third location, they want to have all locations in one back office. They want to transfer inventory, everything that you need in enterprising software. Well, now we got to upgrade them. And now it looks like you didn't sell them the right system because in a year you're just having to move them. So talk about the future. What is their plan? I know, like, there's 3 franchises right here outside my building. If I went to the little cake place right now, their franchise options are probably a 3 to 5 location deal that I would have to sign saying that I'm open 3 to 5. So have that conversation with the owner about future locations, and let's make sure we're looking at enterprise software. And when you bring that up to them, they love that. Say, hey, how nice would that be to be able to sit at home, hop on your computer, look at sales, custom sales for each location, comparative sales, different reporting. And then if you want to add a new button, you only have to add it once. You can push it out to the stores. You can have it be a different price in LA than it is in Tucson. Okay? Where that's the beauty of having that enterprise software. Okay? And we have that with Quick, with Mint, with Solido. We're not a one-stop shop. We're going to have one software that fits us. So that's my big thing, Nate, is all about what is your plan? If they don't have a plan, they're really small and they're like, we're just hoping this works. Maybe in the future, then yeah, we've got, any system. Okay? They want easy to use, but we have to be open with them and honest and have that conversation of, if you grow out of this, they might love a little iPad system. Well, let's try to, be at least tell them the good, bad, and ugly, and say, if you get to that point of the second or third, we can always upgrade you. Use words like that. Okay, we're going to upgrade you into this different software that can handle your multi-location. They're like, oh, okay, great. Instead of like, oh, you're getting the wrong solution. So, but that's just me. That's my biggest talking points.
Well, and I think what we're seeing is you kind of have to read the owner. Like if you're getting a person who's starting a quick service restaurant and they are a retiree and they're in their 60s, their goals are probably very different than the 25-year-old who's starting out a QSR
Absolutely.
and probably is looking to have multi-location enterprise or even franchising, which even adds another piece to it, because there's a difference
Yep.
just being multi-location and or choosing to franchise model where that's a whole other thing to tackle.
That's a whole different thing. Yeah.
So, but you're seeing a lot of these QSRs, and I was just reading some stats. I just Googled into it QSR trends for 2023, and they're predicting by 2028 that we're going to grow another $100 billion of money that's in the U.S. that's going through QSRs. There's a lot of growth, a lot of projection. There's a lot of money going into it. So make sure, one, it's a great industry to be involved in, but set them up to succeed from the beginning. Now let's talk about those who maybe they got through the pandemic. They've been in this industry for, maybe 10 years. You look at their system and you're like, man, that looks like something that you got at McDonald's in 1992. What are some of those things with dealing with those who have been around? They may already have a point of sale. They've been using it. What are things we can start the conversation with to help the QSR and help engage them in being able to sell one of our point of sale systems to them?
Well, the good thing, that's a great question. The good thing about some of those older softwares, obviously it's out of date. I'm sure they've had issues and they've had to pay major software upgrades. But they're missing out on technology. I mean, there's just certain things that weren't available 10, 15 years ago. So that's where that conversation of online ordering comes in. Delivery comes in. You don't want to give 30% of your profits away to Grubhub, Uber Eats, whatever, but you want to handle in-house, because we're seeing more and more QSRs that are either doing their own delivery or they might feel like they're forced to use third-party delivery companies. Thankfully, our softwares can integrate to those third parties if that's needed. We've got one software they can do it internally and do an integration without using that third party. So that's that conversation for that older merchant is what exactly are we missing out on right now? Because guess what? They didn't have QR codes back when you got that POS system. Would that benefit you? How is your online presence? Are you getting any online orders? Do you even have that capability? What about marketing? Your old software, I guarantee, doesn't have marketing capabilities. Is that something you'd ever be interested in, sending out email blast or a text marketing campaign to say what your sandwich of the day is Monday through Friday? Okay, because now you're talking to them as their consultant. You're not talking to them as a salesman, and you're going in there just trying to make a quick buck and get them a software. You're actively asking them, how can we help grow your business? And what are some pieces that maybe you've seen, Mr. Business Owner, Mrs. Business Owner, out and about that you thought was great and that you might want to look into? Because odds are we probably have that technology.
Well, and setting yourself up as that consultant and being able to help them understand, yes, there's going to be a huge growth in the QSR, but that also means huge competitions. So if they've been in this industry
Yep.
for a while, they have new businesses coming in trying to take pieces of their pie. So let's say they're a fast casual Italian restaurant, or they're making subs, or they're sandwiches, or they're burgers, or whatever, and 3 more burger joints open up within a quarter mile of them. They have more competition. So understanding how you can help them guide through that, think through some of the things they need to do to streamline their business, to maximize their staff, maximize their inventory, will help them. And you watch that. I mean, over by your side of Indianapolis versus the amount of quick service restaurants opening up and it's ridiculous. But the amount that are closing is also the same. And so that means find the good ones that are going to stick, but also help be part of that change and helping them think through it. And it's a great industry to be involved in. What are the things? Let's talk drive-throughs. Some of the things that are, some of the QSRs are doing. Like, what are some of the things that they may ask that you need to have that answer to? How do I do a drive-through? How do I do menu boards? What are those things that may be unique but are kind of growing, like you mentioned already with the kiosk?
Yeah, no, good question. So don't be scared, guys, of drive-throughs at all. We've sold tons of them throughout the years. They might not even have a drive-through yet. They might want to add it. Maybe it's a coffee shop, or we had, burger place in Kansas that we picked up. It's just another station. If they're big enough where they have the normal speaker system that we're used to with any, that doesn't have to be connected to a POS at all. It's literally just a communication tool where they could be sitting there on a Mint POS and just yep, bing, 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 taking the order. Okay. And then they come right up to pay, take their card, the same as if I went to a Burger King. All right. We've had some where they want to do a payment right outside. That's a little more difficult, but we have softwares that can work with an A920. Okay, where if they need to hand that over to them, they can. So don't be intimidated or scared with a drive-through. A lot of times, smaller merchants are trying to find a way to get more people in there. Okay, so they might have one or two stations at the front counter and limited seating, but they really rely on that drive-through. And you got a cash drawer for each. It's going to run the same as the regular system. Okay, they're all still going to talk to each other. It's up to them on what they want to have in place as far as the dinging system that I know someone comes up, or being able to talk back and forth with the intercom. Menu boards, that's definitely for some of the bigger merchants or ones that really want to invest into something that looks nicer than just their menu, printed up, or pictures that grandma took. So when we do have software that integrates a menu board, and so that's another great thing. If that's really, yes, they want that, they can use their existing screens, whatever screens they want. Our software doesn't provide the screen, so they can get 55 inch, they can get 40-inch, whatever size they want. But that can actually connect to the point of sale. When they change the price, they do a special, boom, it can go right to the menu board. So we have that as well. If you run into any of the menu boards, don't worry about it. If we were talking 5 years ago, I'd say nope, nope to just about everything. It's not the case anymore. We have these softwares in place to help you guys with any type of QSR. So yeah, good
One I think,
question.
yeah, one of the things I think of is the language use. How often are you coming across QSRs? They're needing multi-language. We see that a lot in some full service specifically, but I would assume there's a lot of multi-language needed in QSRs too, right?
Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. And being able to print to the kitchen different languages, that's always important too. Thankfully, we have multiple systems that can handle English and Spanish. We've got French with one of them. We've got Korean with another one. Obviously, we can't cover every language. Some of them they can program in, but that doesn't always mean there's full support. They're still working on that full support. And that's all just in the education part of it and setting expectations when we go through a demo is making sure they understand, yes, with Spanish, absolutely. It can do programming. Here's what it can look like. And you have support, in Spanish. But if you want to print to the kitchen in English and the person up front sees it in Spanish, we can do that. Or vice versa. English up here, print to the back in Spanish. So that's important to talk about. Now, obviously, there's still some languages we run into that are too challenging, but we do have some Mandarin customers out there that they just need Chinese. And that's a whole different type of programming and printing. The printer has to be able to print the characters, not just the software. But we have that as well. So yeah, I was blanking on the I was blanking on the languages. Nate, you're right, buddy. We got a lot of languages covered, and that's important.
All right. My last question before my final question before the always last question. What did I miss to ask you? But one of the things, here's an idea. I always like coming up with these, and I just was thinking about it. If I was positioning myself, Matt, and I was able to be full time in the industry, and I was going after QSRs, I would go find metropolitan areas of 200,000 or more, and say I am the advocate and the champion of independent QSRs, and kind of position myself and go after the individual sandwich restaurants and the hamburger places and say, hey, I want to help you beat Burger King. I want to help you beat McDonald's and Subway. I want to make sure you're competitive because there are lots of QSRs. 50, I don't know what the number, this is probably totally researchable, but there is a percentage of QSRs that our agents are never going to be able to sell to. The McDonald's, the Subways. Subways sometimes, because
Right.
depending on, they're a
Subway
little
sometimes.
different.
I mean,
So,
yeah, they're all
depending
independently owned.
how the
Most part of it.
franchise is developed, but there are a lot of them that the decision is made way over the head of even the owner of that franchise. But the independent, which I'm going to guess probably represents 25%. I don't know this. I'm spitballing of
Yeah, if not
QSRs
more.
out there. We'll find out. I'm going to research that later. But go after them. Go position yourself and help them. I love that a great sales place is I'm going to help you come alongside and take out Goliath and be successful in this
Yep.
industry. They're when the people think of hamburgers, they're not only going to think of Five Guys and McDonald's, they're going to think of Matt Proctor's hamburger stand, and I'm going to come alongside. What do you think about positioning yourself like that and being able to help those quick service restaurants, especially in those competitive markets where they're getting beat down by the big franchises that are always just opening new places and they tear down one,
Yep.
like the Popeyes over here. It's, hey, we're just going to tear it down and build a new one nicer right in the same location.
Huh, did they really do that to the Popeyes over by you?
Yep. Yeah. So,
That's funny. Well, I mean, just keep in mind, guys. In-N-Out Burger, it started the same as McDonald's. It starts with one location, two locations. Look how they've got there. I lean heavily on the marketing aspect, Nate, when it comes to competing with those guys. And when I say marketing, I don't mean they have to spend thousands of dollars like a marketing budget, how they're going to do mailers and flyers and stuff that we did in the 90s, okay, in 2000. But I mean, here's a good example. I like using examples, with our agents. I was talking to a QSR one day, and he was right off of Texas Tech campus. Okay, so he survives off of these kids coming in and eating the college kids. And during the school year, he's slammed, and then he does his best during the summer. And so, next thing I was talking about QR codes, and we talked about the college and he's like, oh yeah, I know lots of people go to the college. I'm like, well, what about putting something in the library? What about spreading your name out there all over that freaking campus so that they'll show your address, exactly where you are, order here. You double, triple your orders because you're now everywhere. They don't have to go find you and walk over. They can quickly order ahead and come over, and within 10 minutes, their food's ready. And I've talked to other people about that are in big areas. Where can you spread yourself out? And it doesn't even have to be a big area. Is there a public place that is okay with you posting your QR code? Obviously, you don't want to upset people, and put it in places they can't. But that is a simple marketing that is a free tool that they can use that they have with a point of sale system that doesn't cost $20,000, $30,000 out of the marketing budget. They can still do those things too. They can still do a CRM and get customers' names and have all their details in their system, do text marketing. Those type of things are what the Burger Kings and McDonald's did for the last 30 to 50 years. They don't have to do it anymore. Everyone knows who they are. They don't have to do it. Now, do they? Yeah, they still have commercials and all that trying to compete against each other. But everyone knows, who they are. But these small ones, they have to find a way to do that without killing their bank. And I've promoted it with the QR codes before because I think that's a great tool. If I'm at the library with my kids and I see that 2 miles down the road is this awesome little sushi place and I can order right there, guess what? We're going to pick out books and movies. I'm going to scan, order some rolls, and pick them up on the way home. And all they did was just put a little flyer up in the library, the public library. So yeah, that's how I say compete. Is you got to get your name out there if you want to get multi-location.
And you've got to help as consultants coming alongside to hopefully get the payments business and the point of sale business, the QSRs. We've got to help them beat the Goliaths. We've got to help them know that we're here. We're going to come walk alongside them. And because I watch it all the time, like like what you were just talking about. I don't know how many times I've been at a track meet, a cross country meet, a swimming meet of my kids. I know I need to feed the kids, and I'm pulling up an app of some type to make the order to go pick it up on the way home. And these small, medium business or the QSRs that are independent, we could, or less locations, they can compete, and our systems can help them. And whether it's the QR code or like with many of our systems being able to integrate directly into the DoorDashes and the Uber Eats or however they choose to do it, and coming up strategy, you can come alongside and say, hey, we're here to help you do however you want to do your business. And we're going to give you ideas along the way. It's a great thing. All right, Matt, what have I missed? Yeah. What are we forgetting about QSRs that's important for our partners to
know? I think we covered everything. I just want to send a reminder out to everyone that it is extremely important to discuss the interactive customer display because that is something that's a deal breaker for a lot of QSRs. So make sure you don't miss that. And look at what they're using right then. Some of them don't need that at all. Some of them don't care. There's been a bunch of QSRs I go into. I either don't see anything or I might just see a screen that shows the total. That's fine with me. And a lot of merchants are fine with that. But make sure you get that figured out, first on what they would like as far as hardware. Okay, because we'd rather get a nice big 15-inch durable touchscreen, but some merchants might not have room. Get them iPad. So I just want to remind everyone of that aspect of it to make sure you figure out how the basics they want to run the software, and then obviously get into everything that Nate and I have been talking about. Get into the online ordering, the KDS screens, printers, stuff like that. But yeah, like you said, Nate, it's an ever-changing market. I mean, I'm coming up with ideas all the time. If I had a QSR, and I know you do too, we're always thinking of new stuff. And what I would do if I was in that owner's shoes. That helps me when I'm talking to new owners.
Well, and
Right? Because then I can come across as that consultant.
And so many of these, like I was just thinking of, what's it's at Kaplinger's here in Indianapolis, the fish market.
Yep.
They have one. So over by me here, I don't know if you know that they bought an old school bus, retrofitted it, parked it in the parking lot just north of Long John Silver's there on Michigan Road, and 6 days a week are serving their fish out of the. So they have actual fish markets, I think, in
They're competing as Long John Silver's.
Yeah, it's hilarious. I need to take a picture of it. It's right next. It's right next to What the Fuh. So it goes What the Fuh, Kaplingers, and then Long John Silver's there on Michigan Road there. This is not local food in Indianapolis, but my point is, some of these places are going multi-concept in their QSR. So they have the brick and mortar QSR, but they also have a food truck, or they may have something they go do. A lot of them are now doing catering, and they're doing all kinds of things. Those are questions and things to keep thinking about as we keep, we're always coming up with new things to do to help you win QSR business, all business. But today we're talking about QSRs. And man, I get excited because I'm excited that what's going to happen in the QSR market, because I think there's more and more innovation to come there in the next several years in restaurants. And I can't wait to see what it is and how we're going to be able to help and support it by the technology needs that they need to be able to get their money fast. Matt,
well, and that just popped in my head, Nate. We didn't even talk about this, but barbecue. I know certain cities throughout the country, it can be huge. Other cities, it might not be as important, but barbecue, I'd say 95% of the time is some sort of a QSR environment. And yes, catering is huge for them. Being able to do future orders, catering, multi-location, those type of things are imperative for barbecue. And so we've done a lot of barbecue spots in the past, and some of them have drive-throughs too. It kind of fits everything that we're talking about. As far as QSR. So you could target those. We've got agents that's what they do. Like I've helped out Joe's Barbecue and, Susie's and whoever, and just name drop, the ones that you already get. Once you pick up a couple of them, it gets a whole lot easier to go just keep picking up more.
Yeah. If you are in the southern part of the country, got some feedback there. Sorry about that. But if you're in the southern part of the country, for sure, absolutely, there's a lot of barbecue. And then send some of it up to Indianapolis. We don't have enough of it up here. We need quality barbecue.
We don't have good barbecue up here. I don't know. There's only one or two places that are okay.
Yeah. You need.
You took me to one. You took me to one that's really good. That's one of the few that's good.
Well, and it's got they got a great patio and deck over there.
Live music and everything. Yeah.
Doug, you're right.
But no, the rest is so mediocre. It's like I don't even want to eat it.
I know there's ones out there that I haven't gotten to yet, but I've tried a couple of them. There's one 5 Thumbs that I want to try up here, but again, this is not this week.
That's a great name, 5 Thumbs.
Yeah, it's on 96th Street. They sell. I haven't got it yet.
Thumbs.
Yeah, it's all thumbs.
I like it.
So, all right. On behalf of Matt Proctor, I'm Nate Manahan. This has been another POS Uncensored. Go find QSRs. Go sell to QSRs. Help the QSR market, and you will grow your portfolio. Thanks for being part of POS Uncensored. We'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, guys.